Witchers, sorceresses, bards, and beasts. Welcome back to the Witcher Lorecast. This is your host, Tom, or Robots. I don't know if we have any beasts listening to us, Toasty. Do you think?
They got to be out there.
They got to be out there.
I mean, there's you're a Leshen. So, like, if you're part of the, I feel like...
I'm a Leshen?
Yes, we've talked about this.
I thought it was a bard.
Past.
I thought we figured out that I was a...
No. You've been a Leshen this whole time. You're just pretending not to be.
Oh, is that how that goes?
Well, yeah.
Welcome back, Toasty. This is Toasty.
Hi.
I'm Tom, or Robots. We do the show together. This is a... Man, we're doing a fun episode this week. Last week we talked about Kaedwen. Kaedwen? I still don't know how I want to pronounce that name.
I prefer Kaedwen, but I don't think there's like a set definite or pronunciation there. Definition, dear God.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but so anyway, we've been talking about different locations and things, and Toasty and I were like, okay, where to go this week? And we're switching from location to person, and who better to discuss this week than the sorceress, who is in charge of the sorcerizing. What's the word that goes with that? Sorcering? Magicizing? Magicianing?
I feel like, on their most recent episode of Critical Role, Matt Mercer said the word sorcering, and I feel like if he said it, it means it's got to be real, right? Like it's got to be an actual word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she's in charge of sorcering for the king of Kaedwen, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, the king,
and and so who is this sorceress we will be discussing today, Toasty?
So Tom, we're gonna be talking about Sabrina Glevissig.
Sabrina?
Is that what that's from? I don't know what the hell that was.
Sabrina the witch?
So this is the bit we're doing today. Okay.
Is that who we're talking about this week? That's super exciting, man. Melissa Joan Hart, man, she was a cutie pie back in the day. The silence again with the silent approval. Toasty silently approving my bits, my jokes. So yeah, Sabrina.
This is enough, right? Like this is enough of the episode. Like
to be done. To be done. Yeah, I don't know how far are we in? This is like what, 4 minutes in?
Yeah, like it's just a mini episode,
and then we're just done. Okay, a little mini episode.
That's good enough, right?
That's it. Then we're done. That's it. So Sabrina the Witch is the sorceress of Kaedwen. Good night, everybody. That's it. That's the end of the episode.
Yep. That's.
So I get the sense that she's not the same Sabrina. Then is this what you're trying to tell me? From the TV show, the hit TV show of the 1990s, Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
I only existed for a very small portion of the 90s.
Do you even know who I'm talking about?
I do because they have decided to rerun that shit
oh yeah,
so many times. I'm pretty sure there's one on right now.
Probably.
And I keep running into the GIFs whenever I'm putting out the tweet because I type Sabrina and everyone's like, "That you mean this one?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I got to put the last name."
Yeah. So we're talking Sabrina Glevissig, which I don't think is the teenage witch's last name because her last name.
She's not a teenager.
She's not a teenager, and her last name from the TV show is the Teenage Witch, which is a weird last name. So Glevissig, yeah, weird. But the Witcher one is different. We get to we meet her on the TV show.
Yes, we do. So, I'm just gonna give a little bit of a rundown because we've talked about it probably enough before, but just specifically, she was there at Aretuza with Yennefer.
Best buds.
She was
super tight.
Super close.
Tight at the hip.
Yeah,
that's a weird expression. Tight at the hip. Like you're doing a 3-legged race. I can't think of another time you would ever be tied at the hip with somebody.
This migraine med change for you must be really making you Like,
I don't know that I'm that different.
like you're like super like ADHD tonight, and I'm the one with ADHD here, so that's the problem.
Okay, I'll start talking about Sabrina, and you do the interjections.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead.
All right, so she was at Aretuza with Yennefer, and they were like best buds. And she was like the know-it-all sorceress who got everything right the first time. And Yen was like, screw her, because stupid know-it-all Sabrina. And Sabrina was like, ooh, I've got all the answers. And then her neighbor would like climb in through the window and like a teenager does, you know, when that stuff happens. And then all of a sudden you'd end up with, oh no, it's happening. It happened I double clicked it. Oh crap. That's all I got so far. You didn't even interject.
Yeah, because I would like to like finish a podcast tonight. That's
okay,
kind of my intention.
All right, go on.
God. Anyways, about like 25% of what Tom said was correct there. The first part, essentially, she was like the ace student. She did get basically everything right. She was like the star pupil. She could catch lightning in a bottle like nothing else,
which we saw on the show.
Yep. Mm-hmm. The only one to like do it successfully. And then we see her later on in season 1 when she kind of gets with the conclave of the Northern Mages, where they all meet up and decide whether to just abandon Sintra to Nilfgaard or not, or if they should intervene at all. And she sides with Tissaia, who wants to, you know, defend the North from Nilfgaard so they don't just run them over.
Probably a good choice.
Yeah, it's a pretty good choice.
Probably. I think I'm cool. Okay, so she gets a mark on the I'm cool with her list. Okay, so I'm giving her a vote of cool.
Mm-hmm. And then we see with her part at Sodden Hill that she plays, where she like helps out. Pretty sure she's like a badass archer, which was cool. And then she's helping to defend things along with the 22 other mages. And then she gets infected by this like silver metal earworm parasite. And it turns her bad, and she stabs Yennefer, and then they explode off of a parapet. But that totally wasn't her fault. That was the whole earworm thing. That was dark magics that Francesca was using to make her do that. And then we see her later on in season 2 with just that. Remind me if I'm missing anything, but I'm pretty sure it's only the part where they're having a bath and you can see the antagonistic relationship that her and Yennefer have together. Yeah,
but it was like a
playful antagonism.
Okay. Yeah, it was like one of those like, we used to be really competitive, but okay, we're friends still.
Yeah.
It was one of those. But yeah, I think for the most part that's all we see of her in season 2. I think you're right.
Yeah, I believe so. And that's specifically the show. As far as like game/book iteration, we do know that the same thing essentially is that she attended Aretuza on the Isle of Thanedd in the 1180s, and had a friendship/rivalry with Yennefer during their teaching until they graduated together in 1186.
So the show got it right.
Yeah, they got the relationship right.
Okay, because I know a lot of people like to pick on the show for like, well, the show changed this, the show changed that, you know. So, but this part's right.
Yeah, one thing that the show didn't quite get right. And I didn't think about this because, you know, it's hard to like remember all the key things that happen like in the books and stuff, is that they didn't make her in they didn't make her as much of a bitch as she normally is.
She wasn't bitchy enough on the show. I mean, she is kind of quiet. Like when you go back and like we did that rewatch.
She was not quiet in the books, though.
Right.
Sabrina Glevissig was not a quiet character in the books. Anytime she wasn't in it much, but when she was, let me tell you, not quiet.
Yeah, because we did the rewatch back in the fall, and she does show up, and she, when she's put on the spot, she, star student, she kind of does her thing, and Tesea is like, Sabrina, show them how it's done, those kinds of moments, but she doesn't really flaunt it, she's not up there going like, I don't know, talking herself up very much in the show, but like a book version of her. She does. I don't know if specifically bragging, but she does do a lot of complaining. Okay. All right. So one of the first real big things that we see her in the books is the Coup of Thanedd, when kind of like all the mages and stuff kind of get together and have like this big party. And this is like a spoiler for people who haven't read The Time of Contempt. If you're planning on it, you might want to skip this part if you don't want any spoilers for it, because I know a lot of people are actually like reading the books now. But in June 1267, so this is like, what's the math on that? It's less than 100 years, but it's close to a century since they graduated from Artiza. They attended, she attended the last night of the Conclave of Thanedd, specifically the last night. I guess fashionably late kind of person, like super fashionably late, right? Like like barely showed up. And it was the night of the banquet. At the beginning of the banquet, she talked with Yennefer and Geralt, which the discussion was mostly just exchanging hidden insults with Yennefer, because that's the kind of relationship. Like the political banter, when you're so good at speaking, you know how to insult someone without actually just directly saying it to their face. Like that's how good they are at like this whole like political courtesy thing, because they're like complimenting each other while also insulting each other at the same time. Right. Backhanded compliments. Yes. Yeah. It's the kind of stuff, the kind of dialogue they did really well in Game of Thrones before that show went downhill.
Yeah. And then later on, having a conversation with Marty Sodergren. Don't know about that one. It's got an O with the two little dots above it, so I already know I messed it up. About their confusion of how Geralt could be attending a party with Yennefer, because Yennefer is so insufferable. He just doesn't get how Geralt could like stand her. It just doesn't make any sense to them at all, including a joke about betting him on the rocks down on like the rocky coast or something. It was like, all right. Yeah. And I would just like to state for the record that Geralt did not, in fact, bed Sabrina. I know that sometimes when that comes into question, the answer is usually, yeah, Geralt definitely did it. He actually didn't this time. Believe it or not.
She was too complaining.
Yeah, which and Geralt did in fact hear this entire conversation that they had, because he was eavesdropping with his like Witcher hearing. So they're talking over there, don't think he can hear, and he's just like standing getting some snackies and just like laughing at just I guess gossip essentially is what it is. Right.
Right.
And then hours after everyone fell asleep that night, she joined with some of the other mages in their attempt to detain everyone that they suspected of being allies with Nilfgaard, including and this, like I said, big spoiler warning, because this is probably leading to like the future seasons of the show kind of spoilers, I would guess. Maybe not. Who knows?
Well, they are doing a lot of political stuff with the show. So it would make sense that some of this stuff is going to play out with the mages.
I assume it is that because they mentioned that Ciri going to Artusa, and this is the time. But Vilgefortz, who was like seen as like the number one ally of Nilfgaard. And then, stuff start going down. It's a lot of bad stuff starts happening in this time. Like the Aretuza gets attacked by like the Scoia'tael and Nilfgaard, and it's like all kinds of crazy stuff. It's not great. Everything just kind of goes downhill, and then she like runs off to do something. And that's, Ben can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's really the last time we see her in the books. Well, no, not the last time we see her in the books, but that whole situation. And then we get to one of the other big plot points. But I don't know. Do we want a mid break first?
We can do that. I
want to do the mid break first.
We're going to tease them with the other big plot point, and then we'll do the mid break, and then we'll be back. So don't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Very well. Let us get this over with. Something has infested my vineyard.
Mm-hmm. Great. Let me go prepare my something oil then.
So this is the middle of the show. This is where we get to thank our patrons, all 15 of you, for being here to help support us and keep the show going. We really do appreciate it. And a big shout out to our higher vampire tier 5 patrons, Ben of Temeria, who's here in chat with us, and Bane, the hospital guy, and all the 13 other patrons. Thank you so much for being here and supporting us. And we don't have any other ratings or reviews to read out this week. Nothing new came in. But first of all, if we're helping you get through your work day, your work week, your workout, your drive to work, you're working on the railroad, you're working it at the
club,
club, you're twerking and working it, then go to patreon.com/WitcherLorecast and check out all the different tiers where you get ad-free episodes, t-shirts, joining us on future episodes, the car wash, Ben says in chat,
car wash,
any of that stuff. And then, you can even sign up and join us.
Right? That's the song, right? Working at the car wash.
At the car wash, yeah.
I'm not going to do any more of it because
keep singing.
We'll get sure that DMCA won't get us in trouble at all.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, you can join us next week. Next week is our patron chat episode. We record those at our usual times, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, over here on Twitch or on YouTube or on Facebook, whatever channel you prefer, or whatever service you prefer on the Robots Radio channels for each of those. And we'd love to have you join us. We're going to figure out what we're talking about. I don't think we've determined a specific topic yet, but we'll be talking about that over on the Robots Radio Discord. So if you've got some ideas about what you'd like to discuss, then toss them our way. And if you haven't signed up yet, you've still got time, as long as you sign up before the actual episode. In fact, you could sign up during the episode. We've had people do that before too.
We've had people do that, and we have let them. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Toss them our way. Toss them like a coin to your Witcher.
There you go. But and also, if you decide to leave us a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts, even if you don't listen on Apple Podcasts, if you want to help us out and you have an Apple account, you can just go log in over there, look up the podcast. You just search Witcher Lorecast Apple. It'll be the first result. Click on it and just leave us a little review. Put some words in there. Give us 5 stars. We'll read it out on a future episode of the show. And you can talk about how handsome Toasty is with his silvery Witcher hair, which you can see on the video or live stream versions of this show.
I haven't talked about that in a while. Jeez,
it's still there. It's still there.
I know it's still there. I live with it every day.
It's still there. I'm telling them it's still there.
Okay.
You're not the only person we're talking to, Toasty. This show isn't all about you. We have an audience. It's true. There's other people here right now listening to us talk right now about the next thing right now.
You smell of death and destiny, heroics and heartbreak.
It's onion.
Right, yeah.
And that next thing right now has to do with Sabrina. Toasty rolled his eyes so hard that I think it might have hurt. You know, sometimes when you move your eyes in certain ways, you can actually, it's kind of painful. Was it painful, Toasty?
I'm pretty sure I gave myself a headache with that.
Yeah,
one,
a little bit.
I
think
it was worthwhile.
I think so.
I hate that so much.
I think it was.
This is going to be our we're just going to get a bunch of 1-star ratings after this episode. I think it's that bad.
Yeah. Tanking. We're driving the show into the ground.
1-star rating. How do you feel about that?
Into the ground. You know, no news is bad news. That's what I always say. All publicity is good publicity. Okay, what's the next thing that you teased us on? What's this next thing about Sabrina? I'm not going to hit the button. I'm not doing it. What's the next thing about Sabrina?
We're going to talk about the Lodge.
The Lodge of Sorceresses?
Yes. That one. That one? Exact lodge.
The powerful ladies who do magic things together?
Magic things and political things.
Ooh.
And political magic things.
Well, that sounds powerful. Go on.
I don't know what this facial expression is.
I didn't have another word, so I just revisited the word power.
Okay, you look guilty, and I didn't like it.
I was going to come up with a better word, and then I didn't have one, so I just said power.
So it was embarrassment. That's fine.
It's I'm out of words.
Anyways, so Sabrina Glevissig was one of the sorceresses invited by Philippa Eilhart to Monte Calvo in August 1267. So later the same year as the coup, not much longer, 2 months. She spent most of her time here expressing disdain and distrust for Francesca Findemeyer.
Elf lady.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just reminding people, the elf lady. Yeah.
For betraying the Brotherhood and siding with Nilfgaard. Mm-hmm. So, you know, she wasn't fond of that. Real big. I really don't have another term here, and I don't like it, but like northern supremacy. Essentially, is kind of she kind of falls under that category. Asiri var Anahid, who she assumed was a spy for Emir, and Philippa for presumably spying for her ex-lover Dijkstra. So it's basically just like, you know, can't trust any of y'all people. So she was very vocal about this. She did not hold her tongue quite as much. But when Philippa revealed that the lodge would only be formed, when Philippa revealed that the lodge would only be formed by women members, Sabrina suspected that it was because of her newfound sexuality, which she also vocalized.
What? Wait, what?
She was basically saying that because Philippa came out as liking women. So post Dijkstra.
Post Dijkstra,
yeah, like I said, ex-lover Dijkstra.
She had a personal sexual revolution of sorts, where she was like, okay, no more dudes for me, just ladies.
Mm-hmm. And Sabrina was like, you're only forming this Lodge of Sorceresses of only women because you're attracted to women now.
Because you're a lesbian and now you just want to get with all of us.
Yes. But that was not the case.
Okay, so she was suspicious of her.
Yeah. Got it. But it was Philippa clarified that the reason she was doing it is because men are mentally unstable, subject to emotions, and under critical circumstances, not reliable.
I mean, humans basically can be defined by that in general. So sure. Yes.
But It's the fact that Philippa and the rest of them were kind of subjected in this situation of like the Northern Kingdoms were run by men making all the decisions,
right,
and everything was going to crap,
right?
So if go in charge, it'll be better.
That makes sense, like all these big powerful kingdoms being run by men into the ground. Why not give women a shot?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. And hey, why not? See what happens.
I support it.
Maybe it'll be better. You know what? Let's just try it out in our own world. What if we were just like, hey, let's just give it a century, let women run everything, and see if it works out better. We haven't tried it before.
I would not be opposed to this.
I mean, it might work out better.
Like
we don't know. All right. Well, what happens? So what happens next?
And again, on the theme of Sabrina voicing her concerns about everything, she concerned that she was afraid that the lodge would require her to become apolitical, meaning not having any political affiliation. And she told everyone that she outright refused to give up any of her political influence because at this point she was, head advisor to King Henselt of Kaedwen.
Mm-hmm. And it's pretty high level stuff.
And in that position, because of the way King Henselt was, she was like in charge of like 45 to 50% of the kingdom in that sense.
Yeah, he was kind of a political puppet for her.
It was like, it was like he does the war stuff, she does all the other stuff. So, she's obviously in a very powerful political situation. So she wants to keep that influence. And also because she needed the protection because she was certain that Nilfgaard would want revenge for her part that she played in the Battle of Sun Hill. So
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we move on to the second meeting of the lodge. And same place. And at the beginning of which she refused to eat oysters. She was very picky about her food, even. She didn't want any oysters. She wanted venison over plums.
Okay.
And I got to be honest, neither of those sound appealing to me.
I mean, if you slather oysters in enough butter and garlic, then they just become a delivery vessel for butter and garlic. That's kind of the way that stuff usually works.
I just never had oysters.
Yeah, like a lot of that.
The thought of it just
it's not that
makes me.
It's really not that great. It's just delivery. It's just ways of ingesting more butter and garlic when it really comes down to it.
And see, the thing is I can't remember if this was said specifically, but my guess here is because oysters are an aphrodisiac.
Oh, is this it? So this is part of it. Was her trying not to get seduced?
I can't remember if this is said specifically, but I imagine that she's still like Philippa wants to smash me, and like she's giving me aphrodisiacs. I don't know about that, so I'm gonna eat my venison over plums, and you won't get me this time, Philippa. So
get out of my pants, Philippa.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Right.
And then when Francesca teleported in, accompanied by Yennefer and Ida Emian ap Sivni, a name.
That's a name for it. Okay.
She hatefully stated that only Vilgefortz is missing as far as the people that got away during the Coup of Thanedd. Specifically throwing this toxicity at Yennefer because that's just the kind of relationship they have. And
still jabbing.
Yennefer is kind of like a traitor at this point. At least they perceive her to be, because she's chilling with Francesca, even if it's not her choice. But of course they don't know that. They assume that she's doing it of her own free will.
Right. So this is other stuff that we're not going to go into on this episode, but it's much bigger than just the details here.
We'll have to like dedicate
about Sabrina
like episodes to the lodge itself and like the meetings and stuff.
Right. But I guess the big point here is that she and Yennefer are still jabbing at each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the just the meeting itself that talked about the war events, current world troubles, because, you know, Northern Kingdom versus Nilfgaard still going. And her taking a firm stance that she believed that preserving the future of magic should be the top priority for all sorcerers, sorceresses, magic wielders of all kind. And that's where they should keep their allegiances to other magic wielders. So very firm stance that like, let them fight their war as long as we preserve magic. That's really what matters. And it's kind of the thought of like, generally.
Is that, would you say that that's the main purpose of the lodge as a whole? Like that's like, aside from any of these suspected reasons,
they all have, because I mean, this, and to give a bit more clarification on the lodge, is that it's a combined like conclave of sorceresses from every kingdom, specifically like and including Nilfgaard. So they do like Fringilla is there, and then we have Francesca, obviously, who's elven, like an elven sorceress,
and people still have beef with, because everyone in this group definitely has a history at this point.
Yes, everyone does. But so the majority of them are Northern Kingdoms, but I think specifically 3 of them are Nilfgaardian aligned in this. And it was like, we are not fighting each other here. This is us getting together to decide the future of magic and the continent without the influence of men who want to fight their wars. Right. We got to think ahead to the future.
This is a neutral ground in order to determine the future of magic for the continent, not the political game that everyone else is playing.
Right. So, and that would be the last time I believe we see her in the books, because after that it gets very focused on Ciri and Geralt. And then we have her game appearances. So she has an appearance in it's not the core game, it's a module that like came with it, but it's not part of the main game. Kind of a confusing
first game,
thing.
The Witcher 1?
The first, yes, The Witcher 1, where the price of neutrality module, she appears in it. She is with a noble woman camping out near Kaer Morhen, and she is searching for Eskel's child of surprise, Deirdre, because Deirdre was born under the Black Sun and therefore is influenced by the curse of the Black Sun. So like Renfrey.
Wow. Yeah.
And Sabrina wants to figure out the truth. So I think the noble woman just wants her to die. But Sabrina's like, well, if I autopsy her, because if there's a child of the Black Sun around, we got to autopsy him. She was like, I could find out the truth about whether it's like real or not. Which is like, I get that you want to fact check, but like, can we do that without autopsying people?
Does death have to be part of this?
Like, can you like wait maybe and like until like Deirdre actually dies? Because like the mutated stuff will still be there if it's there. So like, I don't know, like you're going to live longer than Deirdre probably, because you're a sorceress.
Unless the mutant thing affects that. But then you might have your evidence there anyway.
Yeah. But so this module actually takes place before the book series timeline. So it's like this weird, like kind of it kind of breaks things, which is probably why it wasn't, because Geralt is supposed to like first meet her on the Isle of Thanedd. So, but this is the timeline of what this module is.
So it's kind of shoehorned in.
Yeah. And then for The Witcher 2, Assassin of Kings, and we talked about it a little bit about this last week. I'm just going to read her journal entry. And
as a quick reminder, this happens after the events of the books because it's the games and it's the second game. So it's even further after the events of the books.
Yep. So the sorceress Sabrina Glevissig was from Ardcarrig, the capital of Kaedwen, and had been King Henselt's advisor. The reader, however, should not be deceived by that term. This true daughter of the Kaedweni wilderness was famous for her determination and temperament, which we discussed exactly what that was.
A certain type of temperament, yes.
Yep. There was no exaggeration to the rumors that on many occasions she would interrupt the king, thumping her fist on the table and yelling that he should shut up and listen. And the king would indeed shut up and listen. Sabrina Glevissig's predatory nature was paired with an equally predatory beauty, which she emphasized through appropriately chosen attire. Add to that the power she commanded as a sorceress, and it should become clear to what she owed her strong position not only in Kaedwen, but also beyond its borders. This position could not protect her from the king's wrath, however, and when she failed Henselt one too many times, the sorceress ended up at the stake where her life ended.
Oof. So we get an end to the story here, or at least her story.
Yeah, but she would tell the king that he needed to shut up and listen, and he would do it.
Yeah. Well, you do that too many times. It looks like this is what it gets you.
Well, it wasn't her doing that. He was fine with her doing it. It's just whenever he needed her to do something and she failed. It obviously wasn't a very tolerant king. So
sure.
And as part of her revenge against Henselt, when she was dying at the stake, she cast a curse upon the Pontar Valley because she knew that Henselt wanted to win it from Aedern, because they needed it and he wanted it, and really it's no other reason besides that. Basically to where you couldn't really step forward or step onto that land without dire consequences. In The Witcher 2, if you choose Roche's path, this is Vernon Roche, not the horse Roche, just to clarify.
Right. Yeah, it's funny that they have similar sounding names.
Yeah. You can do the Blood Curse quest and visit the site of Sabrina's execution, where you help King Henselt break the curse by protecting him from wraiths while he slays Sabrina's ghost.
I remember doing this. Did you play through this specific ending?
It's been a while, probably.
I remember doing this ending and not knowing much about Sabrina at the time. And that was just, she's a freaky looking ghost and there's a bunch of wraiths and stuff, and not fully understanding what this was about, but tying this back together to who she was in the books and the relationship to the rest of the sorceresses and all of that makes this way more cooler once you understand the full concept of what's actually going on here.
Yeah. And then as for The Witcher 3, she's obviously dead, but there's a couple references. One, she is a Gwent card in Geralt's starting deck too, so you immediately have her card. And then during the Blood and Wine expansion, you can find a notice board advertising cheap relics, including a charred bit of kindling from Saint Sabrina Glevissig's pyre, suggesting that there's some sort of religious veneration around her now.
Wow.
So that's cool. That's interesting to see if that aspect of the religion has grown.
Yeah.
When we get the new games, the next saga.
Right. I wonder what the sainthood, the cleansing of the site, maybe.
So, wondering if it has anything to either that, or if it has anything to do with specifically, because we know about the eternal fire, and she was burned at the stake. I wonder if it's when people are burned at the stake, if they've been cleansed by the eternal fire, if there's specific veneration that gets put around that person because
she was
they
a
were cleansed
martyr?
by the flames.
Maybe she was a martyr for the cause.
I would say that she probably, I would say that she was, in a sense, because she also went out with like a bang. So
yeah. Maybe there's more that we don't know. Like oftentimes when they develop these games, they write these backstories and then they take pieces of that they work into the games, but we don't necessarily get the full written backstory. Like that sits in the archives of the game developers and the writers. So there may be more there that they keep on pulling from and alluding to that we don't actually have access to yet. So who knows? Maybe in the next game we'll get more of this stuff fleshed out and reference back to. That'd be really cool. So, man, interesting stuff.
I wonder if they're going to change her appearance again. That was one thing I noticed while doing this is because I don't know specifically how she was like described in the books, but I imagine it's similar to the show depiction because they did seem to try and keep to that.
Blonde, and then attractive, all of those kinds of features.
And we see how she looks in the show, and then like in like The Witcher 1, she looks like she's more like of a brunette. And then like in Witcher 2, she's like a redhead now. So it seems like she goes through many different changes as far as her description is. So, or her portrayal. So
that happens with the games though. I feel like oftentimes, especially in the early games, they were more interested in the storytelling than some of like the specific details. Like even Geralt's appearance changes in the games. And his appearance in the books is very specific, but yet the way he looks in the games kind of fluctuates and evolves.
He just gets buffer and more attractive as time goes on.
He does.
That's really what it is.
It's totally.
It's like he's super ugly in the books.
Yeah.
Then he's like super ugly in game 1, and then he looks a little bit better in game 2, and then in Witcher 3 he's like, damn.
Well, he gets the facial hair, and he's a little bit more square jawed, and he's a lot more attractive looking dude. And then you get Henry Cavill to play him, and like, it's like, well, all right,
specimen.
It's like okay, he's got a super symmetrical face now, and okay, great. And no, it doesn't even have cat eyes in the TV show. So. Yeah, it's just kind of the way things go. They continue to evolve, but it has to appeal to a broader audience. So nobody wants to be the ugly main character. Like that just doesn't appeal to selling things. So they shift it for that reason, I'm sure. But yeah, this is cool stuff. Next week, we'll be talking with our patrons. So we're going to be coming up with a topic about what we're going to be discussing. So if you are joining us next week, feel free to toss out some ideas. We'll all agree on what that is for next week. So we'll be seeing you guys then. Toasty, have anything else you want to share? I know you've got some plans for some future potential stuff. Maybe some other show stuff.
I don't think he'll get mad at me if I say it now.
Probably not.
I'll be all right. First off, follow us, The Witcher Lorecast on Twitter. Hop into the Robots Radio Discord and talk to us on the Witcher Lorecast channel, because I mean, if you want your input to reflect on the show in some way, like I do like throw up an occasional poll in there, like for bestiary episodes and stuff like that. If you want to get, your opinion weighed in there. And then as for other stuff, I will be joining the Fumbling Four gang for their season 2 of Cyberpunk.
It's a tabletop RPG podcast, one of the shows on the Robots Radio Network. So you're going to be one of the players, one of the characters.
Yes, one of the players. And then I don't know if it's like I don't know where they're going with it, but it seems like they're going to be bringing back the Avatar tabletop. And of course I was on that before, and we start that back up. I don't know when that might be, but I will be on that as well. Cool. So it might be hearing me play some interesting characters and things. So who knows?
Sweet. Well, that sounds fun. So yeah, you guys can check that out on whatever podcatcher you're listening to this on. Just search the Fumbling Four and the Almighty Crit, or Cyberpunked was like Cyberpunk apostrophe D. Or what's the Avatar one? What's the full title of that one?
Journey of the Elements.
There you go. That's it. And then all the shows can also be
Avatar
found.
Legends Journey of the Elements specifically because this is the tabletop.
Yeah. And if you have a hard time remembering that stuff, go to robotsradio.net. All the shows are listed there. So that's an easy place you can go to find all of the different shows and all of my stuff. So if you want to check out any of the different lorecasts that I do, so Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Cyberpunk, Mass Effect, which we would be doing tonight after the show, but my co-host is on vacation. So we've got that pre-recorded for that episode. And also the Lord of the Rings Lorecast, which we're already 8 episodes in on. We're starting to talk about some of the badass elves of the First Age. So that's a lot of fun as well. But that's what we got going on. And I hope you guys will join us again next week because we're talking with our patrons. And then we're into May and some more episodes with another beastie, another monster episode coming very soon. So thanks for being here. And until next time,
stay safe on the path.
All right, everybody. See you then. Later. Thanks for tuning in to the Witcher Lorecast. We'd love to hear about your experiences with the games and the books and the TV series and all your thoughts on everything. Please check out the Robots Radio Discord and follow us on Twitter at Witcher Lorecast.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.